Hey, I have a great interview for this week. I actually interviewed the owner of Fong On. I don't know if you noticed, but they've been in business since about 1933. They're one of the oldest tofu factory stores in Chinatown. And this is their Yelp, 152 reviews. So what you get in here is actually like really tofu with savory toppings, sweets, desserts. Their Google Maps, their Instagram page. Okay, look at all that thing. And you have this is their Facebook page. They're also in timeout. Okay, I hope you enjoy the interview. And Marina Ing, Paul's wife, has actually giving us videos and images that we can use for this that you will see in this interview. Have a great day. Hi, I am here with Paul Ing of Fong On. It's a tofu, savory tofu place down in Chinatown. And basically, I am honored actually to have him here. And one of the reasons I started doing this interview back in February 2021 was because a lot of businesses in local in Chinatown aren't getting the foot traffic in. And I figured let me start this to bring the business owners to the internet, so that way they can get the feel, get to learn more about the business owner, and hopefully bring you guys some more business. Paul, welcome.
Hi, Benson.
Hi,
Thanks for having me and
thank you.
here.
So tell me about your place, Fong On. What exactly is it?
So, Fong On was a business started with my grandfather and some partners. It was basically a tofu shop where they just made tofu for people to bring home to cook. Because that was kind of a missing component here, immigrant group here in Chinatown. So they thought it was a good business, and my grandfather was part of that, and then my father later continued the business, and then my brothers, and now me.
Okay.
So we sell different products. We also sell tofu. We used to sell rice noodles, many different, you know, I guess Cantonese staple products or Chinese staple products like. Noodles. We also made this rice cake and other products. So so over the decades and over the generations, it's changed. We've added other products. So currently, our latest incarnation, we still make tofu. We make a tofu pudding, which is something that we used to also have in the older store. We serve it with either sweet or savory toppings. We also continue to make the rice cakes. It's kind of like a featured product that has been passed down through the generations, so we make them in white sugar rice cake, we make brown sugar rice cake, and we have additional flavors that I've kind of created, like ginger and matcha. Okay. And jelly grass. And I mean, the store right now is very, very basic. We have roughly 10 products, but we try to excel in those products, like soy milk, or these herbal tea, and grass jelly, and the tofu pudding, and tofu.
Okay. Let's say with the pandemic going on, how has that affected your business?
Well, obviously, it's made it more difficult. But I guess we also started right before the pandemic, so it was hard to judge the expectations. Of course, pandemic, we were shut down for quite a few months, and then when we restarted, it was quite slow. But it's been okay. It's not been great, but we've been paying the bills, and paying ourselves is another story. But the bills, yes, right. So it's surviving. So it's difficult, but we're surviving.
I know that. I mean, my family like it are there to buy the tofu and stuff. So we like it a lot. So what for the customers that are going there, what are you selling the most over at your place?
Well, I mean, our two main products, I would have to say, split evenly between the tofu pudding, right, with toppings.
Okay.
It's kind of like a ready-to-eat things, So it kind of introduces even people who've never had it before to something that they can readily just consume, And our rice cakes, which are made fresh daily, so it's evenly split between the two. So those are our main featured products that people would buy. Again, they're kind of ready to eat.
I know.
As opposed to when the old kind of family business was based a lot on wholesale and stuff that you would. It was the retail part component was there too, where people would buy tofu or rice noodles to go home to cook, but.
Yeah.
We're mainly a wholesaler too, which we sold to a lot of restaurants and stuff like that.
Okay.
So the kind of like the new business is based on ready to eat, and directly to consumer. Not so much of the wholesale like before.
Okay. So you're still doing a wholesale on the side?
We do still some here and there, but not like it used to be, for sure. Because even if you look at it from the perspective of we weren't sure of how. I mean, prior to the pandemic, the business in Chinatown was slowing down. The community was changing. It was less and less people in this Chinatown, and business was not great to begin with. Anyway, with restaurants, and then when the pandemic hit, obviously that made it much worse. And being a wholesaler of like tofu or noodles to restaurants you had problems. So I mean, there was never our sort of concept to begin with to restart, but it still plays a hand in it, of course.
Kids that come in, besides the toast, so which one do kids like?
The kids, what do you mean by kids? What age?
I guess the little one, like fifth grade and below.
I don't know. We don't necessarily. I mean,
oh, you don't know?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I know my younger one likes the tofu.
Yeah.
Let's say I think she likes the mochi bowl on it.
Yeah.
And she likes the syrup on it.
The syrup on it. Yeah, I mean, I suppose, but it's usually the parents who buy it. But I guess the stuff that can be even more popular with kids is definitely the rice cakes, because it's just sweet and cakey. It's just what it is. It's just plain and straightforward. So I think that a lot of times is favored by the kids. Yeah.
Okay. As a business owner, I mean, how is your schedule currently? Like, what time do you guys wake up?
Well, I recently haven't been in the store because I was in an accident, but in general, like, it depends. Usually at 5-6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
We got to begin the process before we open, because everything's made fresh daily. So and so everything is linear. So we have to make the rice cakes in the morning first, then we make the soy products, like the tofu pudding, and so to be all ready, because the cakes have to come out first so they get cool to be able to be cut. So, yeah, so we begin pretty early. And so right now, my wife Marina is doing the rice cakes, so she's off to work by like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what time do you guys open?
We open at 11, but as soon as we get product, we're able to sell. But most of the times it's at 11. Yeah.
Okay. and then during the day, you guys are just working, and then evening time.
Well, sales, we have like a lot of, part-time people,
Okay.
mostly students who are, selling, much like almost like a boba tea parlor type
Okay.
of situation, I mean, the same type of, but I would say our employees are much more knowledgeable, and friendly, and actually loyal to our company. The people that work for our company are a solid core of students doing part-time work, and
Okay.
the majority of them have been with us since we began.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're the ones who stuck with us, and they're very local too. They all live locally.
And then what is it around what time you guys close, and how long does it take you guys to clean up?
Well, we close at 7. Usually, it takes about. I mean, the guys are well trained by now.
Okay.
And they're very efficient in doing it. They start doing the task before we actually close. So, and then by the time like we actually out of there, it's like 7.
Okay.
But we close at 7, so they maximum take a half an hour after that.
Okay. In terms of challenges with your business, I mean, what kind of challenges have you experienced besides COVID? I mean, like
Well, one of the challenges we're facing right now is how to,
Okay.
because in order to grow, we have to have more employees, and there's always that process of, should the growth come first or the employee come first, how to do that, because it's always about having enough to pay for the new employee, or so it's hard to judge, and things are seasonal right now. Summer ramps up, and we sell a lot of drinks, because people just get thirsty, and they, off the top of their head, they'll buy a drink if they're even passing by.
Tell me about the drinks.
So we have soy milk, both sweetened, unsweetened. We have herbal tea, which is made out of this grass called prunella, which is a flower in the mint family. So it's a cooling drink. It's a sweetened drink, So and it's a hit in the summer, because if you're thirsty, if you need to cool down, that's the one you buy. And cold soy milk, it's obviously a favorite too, and we make it pretty strong, meaning that in the past, a lot of companies, even all companies now, they put a lot of excess water in it to make it thinner.
Yeah.
The soy milk we sell is basically the same grade of soy milk as we make tofu with. So it's just as thick stuff that you make tofu. So like I said, in summer when it happens, cold drinks go. But that presents a challenge, because as compared to winter, we have our regularly scheduled amount of drinks that we make a couple times a week.
Okay.
By full swing in summer, the amount of drinks that we sell can sell to 3 to 4 times as much.
Wow.
Which presents a huge logistical problem of constantly making it and having to go out the door before, and then having to make more, and having enough staff and enough refrigerator space and everything to hold it. So it's a challenge.
What kind of books are you reading nowadays?
Me, I am reading nothing right now.
You're honest.
Yeah, there's either no time or recently, because of an accident, my eyes are a little dried out, and everything's a little fuzzy to me right now. But even on regular times, just never time to read. I don't know, just hardly any time, especially with the kids and the business and stuff.
I just want to, thank you for actually taking the time out. I know that you just had your accident and stuff like that, and you wanted this interview as soon as possible. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for inviting me to this. Yeah.
Since you said that just business is run by its family, passed down and everything, are you? Is your family members involved in this?
I mean, yeah. I mean, when we restarted the business, my brother sort of helped me out to start the business. But the impetus of me restarting this business is to support my own family. And understanding that my wife has been involved also. And she's integral in this business. I mean, maybe she might have not wanted to be integral in this business, but she wound up being integral in this business. Like I had mentioned, or if I didn't mention, I was in an accident just recently, and I wasn't able to work. And without my wife Marina, the business would have stopped cold. you know.
Wow.
But right now she's literally doing everything. She's doing the rice cake. She's doing everything. She's doing
Wow.
all the production parts that I would have done if in my capacity, you know. And the thing about Marina, you know, yes, this is an Asian based business. It's from Chinatown. It's Chinese based business. But considering my wife is not Asian and she's from Russia,
Okay.
it's even more amazing that she's doing all this, you know. And honestly, she probably does it better than I do. You
Your
know?
wife has a very good heart. I've met her
Yeah,
several times, and she's volunteer in the school. So
yeah, she does, and she is connecting. I mean, she knows what's, you know, she knows the products, and you know, and that says a lot. I mean, I think, you know, as far as business is concerned, you know, for any kind of business, including, you know, Asian or Chinese-based business, the broadening of these horizons, you know, and to include other people will make it kind of last and go on, you know. Like I said, I don't think, honestly, I don't think anybody in my family that I came from would have been able to do this right now.
okay.
Even the people who have done it in the past, like my mom, she's too old to, or people who, my brothers who didn't necessarily touch upon the certain products, or brothers who did turn up but they don't remember, or you know, or it's different circumstances. So yeah, Marina's amazing, and you know, it's so yeah, this is the family, and my children sometimes help, and they come down and they, you know, I never necessarily want to pass it down to them, but they also are kind of like, oh, you know, I said something about what my father said to me a long time ago, like first generation starts the business, second generation builds the business, third generation destroys the business. Right? So I'm actually part of that third generation, right? But I sort of restarted the business and changed it up, right? And then, like I said, I never intend to pass it on to my daughter. I never want to force them on anything. But my daughter says, "Oh, so I guess you're the first generation of the new business," which would mean she would be another generation.
Oh,
Saying that she would, but that's how it kind of came across to me, you know.
okay.
So you're the first generation of the new business. I was like, well, then if I'm the first generation, then who would be the second generation? After I told the
She
story,
probably smiled.
so who knows? But like I said, I would never push it on them, like my parents did to me.
Hey, by the way, how did you come up with the twist on coming up with the new business twist?
You mean the changing of the like kind of direction?
Yes.
I mean,
How long did you think about that? Was it like really instant? The next month you're like, okay, let me
yeah,
start the business.
you know what else? You know, for the long, so you know, our business closed because you know most of the family members wanted to retire.
Yeah.
And over that time, everybody that I came across was like, "You should take it over," and I'm like, "I don't want to take it over." You know, I just don't want to take it over because it's just too much, too complicated, too entrenched. You know, of direction, you know, and I said, I don't want to take it over. But everybody, including like teachers from my child's school, or family advocate here, or stranger there, was why don't you just take your store over and concentrate on core good products? Just do the things that you excel at. Don't do all the products, just condense it. And I was like, yeah. And then I heard it so many times from a lot of places, you know. And then on a trip, I was looking for equipment in Taiwan, and I, you know, and I saw people doing the tofu pudding with toppings and stuff like that, and
Okay.
and then I sort of just, in that whole thing, I was just right. I took a snapshot of everything that I heard from people and friends, and kind of combined it with what I saw. That, I mean, we used to sell the tofu pudding and only with just syrup.
Yeah.
Because that's traditionally how we just ate it here in Chinatown. And you know, even when I went to Taiwan and they offered some toppings on my tofu pudding, I was like, no, it was syrup, right? It was like, no, try it. I'm like, no. And I thought to myself, why am I saying no? You know, why am I saying no? This is kind of stupid, you know? So I tried it, and then like this kind of light bulb went on, and I was like, right, this is it. right? But I'm not just a matter of taking this idea from someplace else, because just like anything else, the pudding itself is the most important part. You know, you can put any toppings on tofu pudding, but if the tofu pudding itself, or like rice, or like bread, or like something else, isn't good, it won't taste good. But we got that part because we already knew how to do that part. So I just combined newer ideas with what we already did do and went forward. The same with rice cake. We had white and brown rice cakes. That's all we had. But as when I was discovering the recipes and rediscovering the recipes myself, I was like, wait a minute, it's just flavoring. You can add flavor, but now which flavors work and which flavors don't work?
Did you do a lot of testing?
I did so much testing. I was so sick of eating rice cake. I was so sick of eating rice cake, you know, until I started feeding it to my family and they got sick of it. But when it's good, it's good. So you know it's good, and you know, so even though some of the stuff that I had, these other flavors that I had developed before reopening the store, they weren't right, you know, like. But then the ginger came to me after we opened the store, because I realized, well, that's a organic flavor, meaning that's an organic place where it comes from, you know. I mean, you know, Chinese like ginger, and that combination of brown sugar and ginger tastes delicious, and why not in the cake? And it turned out to be true.
Okay. Has I know that Chinatown has a lot of tourists. The tourists coming in? How are what are they saying about it?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Are they aware of the place, or they don't?
Yeah, no. On the weekends, we get the most people simply because the people who come on the weekends don't live in the area.
Okay.
Business-wise, on the weekdays, it's very well. I mean, it's stark, you know, because it's still Chinatown, and Chinatown is still very shrinking. It is, you know, and without foreign tourists or other tourists from other places. I mean, most of the tourists, not tourists, but people who actually live in the area, in the tri-state area, they come in to buy stuff. They're coming from Jersey, Queens, or you know, neighboring states or neighboring, you know, just boroughs. You know, they'll come in for our stuff, and I'm grateful for that. But I wouldn't necessarily call them tourists. But that's the only time when we're, on the weekends, we're the most busiest.
That's
on
good.
the weekdays, we're pretty slow. But they like it. I mean, we've gotten a substantial amount of people who never knew about us, which I'm happy for, because that's what's required to go forward, you know, to last. And we're getting a substantial amount of people who are not Asian at all. I mean, first of all, we're getting different types of Asians. You know, before we were mostly Chinese oriented, you know, customers. Now we're getting Korean, Japanese, you know, quite a bit of that, you know, and other Asian ethnicities. We're also getting non-Asians, you know, lots of people trying it first time and then becoming regulars all the time. I mean, substantially. I mean, I think I would hazard to say that 25% of our business is non-Asian, you know, which is a lot larger number than before. We're even getting Russian people coming because somehow they heard about, you know, the story about our store and me and my wife, and they were like, "Oh, I'm coming," you know, and yeah, I mean, I always knew that the products would appeal to people if they tried it.
Okay.
But it's a matter of people trying it and actually having a store that's welcoming to people who have not tried it, who don't know anything about it. I mean, in the past, even in our own family store, you had hardly anybody who spoke English well enough to convince anybody to try a product, you know. So now we're much more friendly, open to other people. And that's been great, because I really love when I see other people who've never tried rice cake or tofu pudding try it, and they're like, "Wow, this is great." I'm like, it's like, you know, right, exactly as we eat it, not made, you know, not made for I mean, in the past there were concepts of making something more appealing to somebody else by flavoring it, or adjusting it, like the soy milk that you buy at a supermarket. There's soy milk all over the supermarkets, but those soy milks have no flavor at all. There's absolutely no soy flavor in it at all. And and in my mind, I said, no, you should drink it with the soy flavor and get as much soy flavor as possible.
Hey, guys, your question. This might be a little personal, but if you don't want to answer it, I would just erase it from the tape. How did you and Marina meet?
I met Marina. Well, I've been through so many things, careers in life. So I was the one who never wanted to do family business, right? So
Okay.
it's funny how this all works out. I never wanted to do family business, because first of all my brothers were doing their family business, and I just didn't want to be the little brother who had to do everything what everybody else did. So I did my own thing, and I went through many different careers. And one of the careers that I was in was photography, and I wound up going to Russia to do photography, commercial photography. And what turned out to be a couple of weeks turned into a couple of months, turned out to be a couple of years, turned out to 10 years.
In Russia?
In Russia. And I lived in
Wow.
Moscow. So during that time, in the first year, I was working in the studio. And next to the studio was a design firm. And Marina was working in the design firm as a designer. And one day she decided she was interested in photography, and she came in to look at the studio, and she asked for a kind of tour or wanted to look around. And I showed her the studio, and we became friends. And we were friends for a couple of years, and then we were even business partners. She became sort of like my partner in photography,
Okay.
do the translations, the deals, the management part,
Okay.
and assisting. And then we ultimately wound up together, and got married, had children,
Well,
and then
good
wound
choice.
up back here. So that's how we met. Long process.
Oh, since you have a lot of careers, for the students who nowadays who probably listening to this, what did you study in school?
I studied architecture.
Okay.
I have a degree in architecture. I actually worked in the field doing like interior design for the U.S. government, right?
Okay.
I mean, I've literally been everywhere, So I worked for the U.S. government. So I graduated with an architecture degree, but in like 1989, and when no one was building nothing. Nothing was being built. So I happened to get a job with the General Service Administration doing space planning. Basically, I design office space for,
Wow.
and that's what I did. But ultimately, that didn't. Well, I got sort of bored of it, and then I kind of quit and decided to become a musician.
Okay.
Yeah, but I graduated with an architect.
Okay. What should you? I mean, what do you want to say to kids in today's generation? Anything you want to offer them? Advices
Specifically about school or anything?
about school life?
I would say, actually listen to your heart, do what you think you want to do, right? Because no matter what anybody tells you what you should do, you'll only be doing it because that's what they said. This is what happened to me, and if you just follow your heart, you might go through lots of problems, right? As everybody does in life, but you will get to the place where you should be if you follow your heart versus following advice of anybody particularly, especially with career, especially with vocation in life, because you don't know, because you don't have the experience to know. And if you're counting on the experience of somebody else, they might not know. They just want the best for you. And the best for you is actually you should follow your heart.
Paul, I think I'm out of questions. Do you have any last words for anyone who's watching this video? What if you want to say anything? I know you just spoke to the kids about school.
No, come by the store. We'll be happy to see you.
And also mention this video, okay? So that let Paul know that you guys watched the video, okay? Thank you.